A very good afternoon and welcome to the midday news on Rajya Sabha television, where we get to the biggest news that is developing at the top of one. I'm Ashwara and these are the headlines. After historic 45-minute meeting between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, US and North Korea signed document that Trump calls pretty comprehensive. At a joint press conference, the US president says he expects the denuclearization process to start very, very quickly. North Korean leader promises a major change. Rahul Gandhi pleads not guilty in a 2014 defamation case against the RSS. Bhiwandi magistrate frames charges in the case, decides the 10th of August as the next date of hearing in the case that relates to alleged remarks by Rahul linking RSS to Mahatma Gandhi's assassination. P. Chidambaram appears before ED for the second round of questioning in the Aircel Max's money laundering case. The former finance minister was questioned for the first time on 5th of June. Two policemen are martyred in a militant attack in Jammu and Kashmir's Pulwama district. Militants opened fire at a police guarding court complex in Pulwama in the wee hours. In another terror attack, 10 CRPF jawans injured in a grenade attack by militants in Anantnag. And former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's health being closely monitored in AIIMS. Medical Bulletin describes his status as stable and responding to treatment. Will continue to be in hospital till infection is brought under control. First up, all the news on the historic meeting between US President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Well, US and North Korea signed an unspecified document at the end of the historic first summit between their leaders. Without providing any details, US President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un characterized the document as historic. They confirmed that the details will come later, even as Donald Trump called it very important and pretty comprehensive. Donald Trump also stated that North Korea's denuclearization process will be starting very quickly. As the leaders wrapped up talks, Trump said that he and Kim have developed a very special bond and that both sides are going to be impressed with the results. Kim also told reporters that the world will see a major change and that he and Trump have decided to leave the past behind.
We're very proud of what took place today. I think our whole relationship with North Korea and the Korean Peninsula is it's going to be a very much different situation than it has in the past. We both want to do something. We both are going to do something. And we have developed a very special bond. So people are going to be very impressed. People are going to be very happy. And we're going to take care of a very big and very dangerous problem for the world. And I want to thank Chairman Kim. Spent a lot of time together today, very intensive time. And I would actually say that it worked out for both of us far better than anybody could have expected. I think far better. I watched the various news reports. I would say far better than anybody even predicted. And this is going to lead to more and more and more. And it's an honor to be with you. Very great honor. Thank you. Thank you to all of your representatives very much.
역사적인 이 만남에서 지난 과거를 덮고 새로운 출발을 알리는 그 역사적인 문건에 서명을 하게 됩니다.
Today, we had a historic meeting and decided to leave the past behind.
세상은 아마 중대한 변화를 보게 될 것입니다.
The world will see a major change.
오늘과 같은 이런 자리를 위해서 노력해 주신 트럼프 대통령께 사의를 표합니다.
I would like to express my gratitude to President Trump to make this meeting happen.
감사합니다.
Thank you.
Well, the historic meeting between North Korea and US began at 9 in the morning, Singapore time, today at the Sentosa Island. Both the leaders walked towards each other and firmly shook hands in front of US and North Korean flags. They held a one-to-one meeting with the translators before a working lunch. And in brief initial comments, Donald Trump described a terrific relationship with Kim, while Kim said that we overcame all the odds to come here. The handshake marks the first time a sitting US president has met a North Korean leader, an unprecedented development after a year of exchanging threats. All right, let's get an update on the story. Akhilesh Suman, my colleague, is now joining us from the newsroom. We also have with us Mr. Shiv Shankar Mukherjee, former ambassador, joining us in the studio for more on this. Let's go across to Akhilesh first. Akhilesh, of course, the details are a little sketchy at the moment because both the leaders have said that the details will come out later. But what they have said is that it is a comprehensive document and Donald Trump also saying that he expects that a denuclearization process is going to start very, very quickly. Even Kim Jong-un saying that the world will see a major change. What could be the possible the contents of this agreement that has been signed?
Yes, Aswarya, I'm giving you an exclusive that I have got from my own sources. I have got the 4-point that has been signed between President Donald Trump and Chairman Kim. You know that the first thing that they want better US-DPRK relations in compliance with the people of both the countries for peace and prosperity. The second thing that they want to have a stable peace regime in Korean Peninsula. The third thing that is most important, that DPRK commits to work towards complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. And the fourth is return of prisoners of war of anyone's citizen who are trapped and who are there in each other's country. And at the last of the document, it is written that they will commit a hold a follow-up negotiation led by US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and a relevant DPRK official. So I am telling you a very exclusive thing that has come out and that has been signed between President Donald Trump and Chairman of DPRK, Mr. Kim. So you know that the whole body language that I was watching from since morning, I think that there cannot be anything so positive that could have been better, because this is such a big thing, this is such a long historical, people were expecting something new, and I think that Trump's diplomacy has worked. And unlike the past president of United States, the negotiation table coming on a negotiation table by American and the DPRK president is very, very important, and I think it will have a large repercussion as far as Mr. Trump's own diplomatic stature is concerned, and also the future of DPRK, because I think Kim is also very, very forward-looking person, and he understands the repercussions of not aligning with the demand of the time and the way the Korean people were isolated in the whole world and development was taking a downturn every year. I think this is one of the best possible talks and the best possible visuals I have seen in this year, Aswarya.
Right. Ambassador Mukherjee, as Akhilesh is telling us that we've got an exclusive details of the content, the possible content of that comprehensive agreement that has been signed between the two nations. Of course, it talks of denuclearization as well. Sir, now any blow to Pyongyang's missile program, nuclear weapon infrastructure, obviously it has to be a protracted effort because, you know, it is North Korea and no other nation has amassed such an arsenal and has ever given it up. So it will be interesting to see how this, Trump administration can achieve a goal of irreversible denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. How do you look at this?
Well, I tend to agree with you. The whole world, I think, will welcome what has happened. There's no doubt about that. One can use the phrase flashpoint as far as the Korean Peninsula, the situation in the Korean Peninsula was concerned.
Yes.
It was a matter of grave concern for the entire international community. And so the very fact that two opponents who were implacably opposed to each other, lone superpower of the world, so to speak, and something that the Western press has demonized as a rogue state of North Korea, have met and have decided to put it very simplistically, to go on the path towards peace. What really does the joint statement say? Basically, regardless of what Trump describes as comprehensive, it is comprehensive only because it is a sweeping generalization.
Yes.
The North Koreans promised complete denuclearization, which was in any case on the table before the meeting began, and was thrashed out at the official and the ministerial level during the visits of Mike Pompeo to North Korea and the meeting of the North Korean senior official to the White House. On the American side, it promises security guarantees for North Korea. These were the two main demands on either side. Now, the problem that I and those who have a slightly longer memory of international relations have is that this was precisely the result that was reached in the fifth round of the six-nation talks, which started in 2003 after North Korea pulled out of the Non-Proliferation Treaty.
Yes.
At that time also, North Korea promised denuclearization as a quid pro quo for fuel aid and security guarantees. And all that fell apart because both sides defaulted. So I think it's a little too early to break out the champagne or to distribute laddus. It is a very major step forward, but it is only the first step forward. If you remember the lines, what Kim said, he said his country was going to work towards nuclear disarmament. He didn't, to denuclearization, number one. So obviously what has happened today is that both sides have agreed on an objective, but a very, very long road remains ahead. This is the beginning of a process. Neither side agrees with the other on what exactly denuclearization means. Japan will be extremely worried that Donald Trump, given his background ranging from where you are to deranged or unhinged to unpredictable and mercurial,
yes,
that he might cut a deal where the only the ballistic missiles that North Korea puts off the table are the ones that reach America, whereas there's leaving Japan out in the cold.
Yes.
There is China. There is no way that China will remain sidelined. It is the country which has the maximum influence on North Korea.
Yes.
And in between the two leaders, I think the gainer is Kim. From 2009 till date, that country has unswervingly followed one goal, which is that for our security, we need to be a nuclear weapon state and have a delivery system which can reach Japan and then the United States. They have achieved it. That is what has brought Donald Trump to the table. Kim comes to the table as an equal, which has been a long-term objective of theirs. He now strides around the world as a leader, no longer demonized as a kind of mad, foaming at the mouth dictator that he had been painted.
Yes.
So to that extent, I think he will go back to his country saying, the door is open, we will work towards elimination of sanctions so we can have a better life, because life is very grim over there, but that I have not given away the family fortune. Trump and his supporters certainly will go back because their objective is to be able to say, look, Barack Obama couldn't do it, George Bush couldn't do it, nobody could do it, I did it.
Yes.
And his cronies will clap. On the ground, diplomatically and in terms of international relations, this is a good thing, but there's a long road ahead. And, everybody has been focused on that great handshake. I'm remembered about other handshakes. There was a handshake between Anwar Sadat and Menachem Begin in 1979, which has to some extent ended not the Cold War, but has achieved a cold peace between Egypt and Israel. There was another handshake between Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat in the White House, equally hyped up. And today the Middle East lies shattered.
True.
Kim has not given up his distrust of the Americans following Libya, following Iran, where the Americans have backed out of agreements which they themselves had signed after leading the negotiations that led to those agreements. So, as I said, good, but a first step, a long way to go.
Yes.
And it's too early to break out the champagne.
All right. As you're saying, it is too early to bring out the champagne. Akhilesh, before we go, we just need to understand a little bit on the impact on Asia, especially on India, because considering the fact that even if it is a first step, if we call it a successful summit, you know, this is moving towards a new paradigm. But India, as you were mentioning earlier in the morning as well, you know that India had earlier sent MOS VK Singh to Pyongyang last month. So if this really turns out to be a success, India would also want to get more engaged in the Korean Peninsula. Don't you think so?
Right. You know that around 1:30 p.m. now, I think we are expecting Mr. Donald Trump may address the press conference. We are getting the hint from some sources. But along with that, I think India will also welcome. India's press conference is also slated for some other regions, but we may expect some statement from Indian MEA also. But as far as India is concerned, you know, I think India will be more than happier because, you know, that India was somehow or other trying to engage itself in the affairs of Southeast Asia and also East Asia. And as I had mentioned earlier that Minister of State VK Singh had visited Pyongyang and he has talked to the leadership there, and he also expected that trade may be strengthened between North Korea and India. So these are the indications that India is also trying to spread its wings in the affairs of the whole region. And when Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when he came to power and he turned the whole look-ist policy to act-ist policy, I think this is an opportunity for India again when Mr. Trump and Mr. Kim is sitting together and trying to resolve issues. So maybe long memories forbid us to be very enthusiastic, but I think the short happenings and immediate happenings enthuse India also, because India was very, very perturbed because North Korea was isolated, and India has always been saying that there should be solution on talk table, and once they are sitting on talk table, India has hopes that we can also put our things forward. And the way North Korea was involved in the proliferation, nuclear proliferation, India was also worried, and I think that North Koreans had assured India that it will not be the same thing as it was earlier when VK Singh was there. So it was all a stated fact. So I think for India, for Southeast Asia and for East Asia, the type of tension that was brewing for quite some time will have some respite, and everyone in Southeast Asia and East Asia are much more progressive than what we have seen in Middle East and those Gulf areas, because this area has been very peacefully developing for more than decades, and 2-3 decades they have made ASEAN, they have made East Asia Summit, and their main emphasis is on development on the basis of dialogue and cooperation. So yes, I think this incident is going to also add to the whole culture of development and cooperation in East Asia and Southeast Asia, and India will be happier.
All right. So we might not be bringing out the champagne, but of course, you know, few would have assumed that this summit will produce such an unprecedented agreement, and the sit down really between the two nation leaders will hopefully lead to future conversations while also reducing tensions. Thank you so much, Ambassador Mukherjee. I also thank my colleague Akhilesh Suman for those insights on that story. All right, and the world has also welcomed the first historic meet between the two leaders. South Korean President Moon Jae-in has expressed hope that the summit would lead a new era of complete denuclearization, peace, and a new relationship between South Korea, North Korea, and the US.
저도 어제 잠 못 이루는 밤이었습니다. 우리에게 완전한 비핵화와 평화, 남북미 간의 새로운 시대를 열어주는 성공적인 회담이 되기를 국민들과 함께 간절히 바랍니다.
And Japan has said that it strongly hoped the summit will resolve the nuclear missile and abduction issue as well, as it will herald in peace and stability in the region.
その会談が核ミサイル、そして何よりも重要な拉致問題が前進する機会となり、北東アジアの平和と安定に向けて大きな一歩を踏み出す、 歴史的な会談になることを強く期待しており、我が国としてもそのためにしっかり協力していく考え方である。
Let's get to some other news now. The condition of former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who was admitted to the All India Institute of Medical Sciences on Monday with urinary tract infection, is stable today. The medical bulletin issued by AIIMS said that the health condition of Vajpayee is stable and that he's responding to the treatment. It also said that he will continue to be in the hospital till the infection is brought under control. Vajpayee was admitted to the hospital following complaints of a lower respiratory tract infection and kidney issues. The 93-year-old leader, who had been ailing for a long time, is under the supervision of AIIMS Director Randeep Guleria. Meanwhile, earlier, a host of political party leaders, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Congress President Rahul Gandhi, had visited the BJP patriarch at the hospital on Monday. Prime Minister Modi, in fact, spent nearly 50 minutes at the hospital, and he also met with the doctors who were attending to the former Prime Minister. He also met Vajpayee's family members and other leaders, including L.K. Advani, Rajnath Singh, Amit Shah, J.P. Nadda and Dr. Harshvardhan also paid a visit to the ailing leader. Big story coming in from Jammu and Kashmir, where 2 policemen were martyred today after some unidentified terrorist attacked a police guard post in Jammu and Kashmir's Pulwama district in the wee hours today. 3 other policemen also sustained injuries in the heavy exchange of fire after the attack. And a group of 3 to 4 terrorists had opened fire at the police guard post. The area has been cordoned off and search operation is underway at the moment. Meanwhile, in another attack today, 10 CRPF jawans were injured in a grenade attack by militants in Anantnag district. The militants hurled a grenade at a CRPF party. Meanwhile, all the injured have been shifted to hospital for treatment. On to the other top story of the day. Congress President Rahul Gandhi today pleaded not guilty in a defamation case filed by an RSS member. The Congress President's plea came after the Bhivandi court in Thane district framed charges against him and read out the statement in the courtroom after he took the stand. The court has set 10th of August as the next date of hearing. The defamation case arises out of Rahul Gandhi's alleged statement at an election rally in March 2014, now linking the RSS to Mahatma Gandhi's assassination. The court had on 2nd of May asked Congress chief to appear before it today to record his plea in the case. The court had sought a detailed recording of the evidence instead of a summary trial. Rajesh Kunde, a local worker of the RSS, had filed the case in 2014.
काम की बात है, रोजगार और किसानों की रक्षा, उसके बारे में नरेंद्र मोदी जी कुछ नहीं कहते। तो ये हमारी लड़ाई है। मेरे ऊपर ये केस तो लगाते रहते हैं, ठीक है, जितने लगाएं, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है। मेरी विचारधारा की लड़ाई है और मैं इनके खिलाफ लड़ूंगा और हम जीतेंगे।
Court has framed a charge against the accused. Court has asked him whether he pleads guilty or not. Court has asked him specific question that on such and such date you have uttered these words, RSS वालों ने गांधी जी को गोली मारी है, ऐसा आपने बोला, ऐसा आप पर दोषारोप है और इसलिए संघ की बदनामी होती है। तो उन्होंने उसका इनकार किया, pleaded not guilty.
And former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram this morning appeared before the Enforcement Directorate for the second round of questioning in the Aircel Max's money laundering case. The senior Congress leader arrived at the ED's headquarters and XA office in New Delhi shortly before 11 a.m. The questioning is part of the ED's investigation into a money laundering case that was registered in 2017 in the Aircel Max's case. Now, Chidambaram was questioned for the first time in the case last week. The ED is probing the Aircel Max's deal under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act after taking cognizance of a CBI FIR in the case in 2011. Now, Chidambaram's son, Karti, has already been questioned by the ED in this case twice. And earlier, the court had allowed interim protection from arrest to Chidambaram till 10th of July in the case. And that's all in this edition of Midday News. But news and updates continue on your channel. Thanks so much for watching.